The quantum sensors aboard the UES Hawking lit up like a Christmas tree. Commander Sarah Chen stared at the readings, her dark eyes widening as she processed what she was seeing. The vessel approaching Earth's defense perimeter wasn't like anything humanity had encountered before. Its energy signature was off the charts. Contact bearing 035, distance 200,000 kilometers and closing, Lieutenant Rogers announced, his voice steady despite the tension filling the bridge. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies." Chen straightened in her command chair. After 15 years of space exploration, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced alien civilization. "Put it through," she ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a tall, ethereal being with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. The alien's features were almost human-like, but there was an otherworldly grace to its movements that marked it as definitely not from Earth. "Greetings, children of Earth. I am Ambassador Zextal of the Zen Collective. We come in peace." The words appeared in perfect English on their screens, even as the alien's melodious voice filled the bridge. Some kind of advanced translation technology, Chen realized. Already, the technological gap between their civilizations was becoming apparent. That first contact launched humanity into a new era. The Zen, as they called themselves, were part of a vast galactic confederation spanning thousands of light years. They offered humanity membership, along with access to technologies beyond Earth's wildest dreams: clean energy, advanced medical treatments, faster than light travel. But Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist, wasn't convinced. Working late in her lab at the London Institute of Xenoscience, she noticed something odd in the Zen biological data. Their brain structure contained unusual formations that seemed designed for more than just telepathic communication. "Computer, enhance section Gamma 7, she commanded, leaning closer to the holographic display. The neural pathway configuration flickered and expanded, revealing patterns she'd never seen before. Cross-reference with known telepathic species in the Confederation database. The computer chirped. "No matches found." Maya's brow furrowed. That wasn't right. The Zen had claimed their telepathic abilities were common among Confederation species, so why couldn't she find any matching neural structures? She began digging deeper, requesting access to more detailed xenobiological archives. Access denied. She tried another database. Denied again. Maya sat back, her heart racing. After 6 months of open scientific exchange, why were the Zen suddenly restricting access to basic biological data? She needed to alert someone. But who? The Zen had integrated themselves into every level of Earth's government and scientific community. Before she could act, the attack began. It started with the colonies. New Mars went dark first, then the Europa Research Station, and finally the Luna base. The Zen ships appeared without warning, their weapons reducing humanity's first extraterrestrial settlements to cosmic dust. In her lab, Maya watched in horror as the news feeds showed the destruction. But something else was happening, something the cameras couldn't capture. All across Earth, humans with high telepathic sensitivity began screaming, clutching their heads in agony. The Zen weren't just attacking with ships. They were attacking with their minds. Admiral James Harrison stood in Earth's Emergency Command Center, watching as red warning lights bloomed across the global defense grid. The Zen fleet had dropped out of hyperspace just beyond Mars' orbit, their ships forming an attack pattern that would cut Earth off from any possible escape route. "They're broadcasting a message," his communications officer reported, her voice shaking. The message was simple: submit or be erased. Harrison's weathered face hardened. 30 years in Earth's Space Force had taught him to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. That's why, despite the politicians' enthusiasm for the Confederation, he'd never stopped pushing for defensive innovations. "Initialize Protocol Omega," he commanded. Authorization Harrison, Alpha 7-9. Around the world, hidden bunkers hummed to life. While the Zen had been sharing their peaceful technology, Earth hadn't been idle. Teams of scientists and engineers had been working in secret, combining human ingenuity with what they'd learned from studying Confederation tech. The Zen had made one critical mistake. They'd assumed humans were simple, trusting creatures who would blindly accept their role as the Confederation's newest protectorate. They hadn't counted on humanity's paranoia, its drive to innovate, its stubborn refusal to remain dependent on others. As the Zen fleet approached, ready to claim an easy victory, humanity prepared to show them just how wrong they were. The real war was about to begin. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility known only to a handful of people, Dr. Maya Patel's research had already borne fruit. The neural inhibitor she'd developed wasn't perfect, but it would give humanity a fighting chance against the Zen's mental attacks. And in high orbit, hidden by experimental cloaking technology, Earth's secret defense fleet waited. These ships weren't built with Confederation tech. They were pure human innovation, developed by engineers who'd looked at alien technology and asked not how does this work, but how can we make it work better? Admiral Harrison's voice echoed through every military channel. All units, battle stations. Today we show the galaxy that humanity won't go quietly into the night. The Zen were about to learn a harsh lesson. Never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history preparing for threats it hadn't even known existed. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival. It was fighting to show the galaxy that humanity deserved its place among the stars. And they would win or burn trying. Earth's orbital defense platforms erupted with antimatter beams, their experimental weapons cutting through space like golden threads of destruction. The Zen fleet scattered, clearly surprised by the ferocity of humanity's response. They hadn't expected resistance, at least not like this. In the Emergency Command Center, Admiral Harrison watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The Zen's supposedly impenetrable shields were failing against weapons they'd never encountered before. Human ingenuity had once again proven its worth. Status report on the neural defense grid, he demanded, eyes fixed on the tactical display. Colonel Sarah Chen, newly promoted after her encounter with the first Zen ship, checked her readouts. Dr. Patel's inhibitors are holding. Civilian casualties from telepathic attacks have dropped to near zero. But the battle was far from over. The Zen ships regrouped, adapting their tactics. They might have been surprised, but they hadn't survived for millennia by being inflexible. Their counterattack was devastating. 3 defense platforms exploded in rapid succession, their debris raining down through Earth's atmosphere like artificial shooting stars. The Zen had identified the weapons that could harm them, and they were methodically destroying them. Deep within the underwater facility designated Prometheus Base, Dr. Maya Patel worked frantically to improve the neural inhibitors. Her lab was filled with holographic displays showing brain wave patterns and neural response data. Each telepathic attack from the Zen provided new information, new patterns to analyze. "They're not just trying to hurt us," she muttered, studying a particularly complex wave pattern. "They're trying to access something specific in our minds." Her assistant, Dr. James Wong, looked up from his own work. "What do you mean?" Maya's fingers flew across the haptic interface, highlighting specific portions of the neural data. "Look at these patterns. They're not random attacks. They're probing for something. Something they think we have." Before she could elaborate, the entire facility shook. Emergency lights flashed as klaxons blared their warning. The Zen had found them. In orbit, the battle had reached a critical phase. Earth's secret fleet had revealed itself, emerging from their cloaked positions to engage the Zen directly. These ships, products of purely human innovation, moved with a grace that surprised even their alien attackers. The UES Prometheus, humanity's first quantum-powered battleship, led the charge. Its captain, Victoria Santos, had spent years training for this moment. "All batteries, target their command ship," she ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you push humanity into a corner." The Prometheus's main gun charged, drawing power directly from quantum vacuum fluctuations, a technology the Zen had dismissed as theoretically impossible. The beam that erupted from the ship's prow wasn't just energy. It was a tear in space-time itself. The Zen command ship never had a chance. One moment it was there, the next it was torn apart at the quantum level, its particles scattered across multiple dimensions. But even as humanity celebrated this victory, a more sinister truth was emerging. In her lab, now running on emergency power as Zen forces attempted to breach Prometheus base, Dr. Patel had made a shocking discovery. "Admiral," she called through the secure quantum comm link, "I know what they're looking for. They're not just here to conquer us. They're searching for something in our genetic code." Harrison's holographic image flickered as another explosion rocked the command center. "Explain." "Our DNA contains sequences they've never seen before. Sequences that shouldn't exist according to their understanding of evolution. We're not just another species to them. We're an anomaly they can't explain." The implications were staggering. The Zen hadn't offered friendship to humanity out of benevolence. They'd been studying them, trying to understand what made humans different. And now that they couldn't solve the puzzle peacefully, they'd resolved to take what they wanted by force. But humanity wasn't about to let that happen. As the Zen forces pressed their attack, Earth's defenders fought back with increasingly sophisticated tactics. The neural inhibitors were distributed globally through atmospheric dispersal, protecting the population from telepathic assault. The quantum fleet, though outnumbered, used its revolutionary technology to devastating effect. In the command center, Admiral Harrison received reports from around the world. The Zen's ground forces had landed in several locations, but they were meeting fierce resistance. Humanity had learned from its own history of warfare, and they weren't about to repeat the mistakes of the past. "Sir," Colonel Chen called out, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the remaining Zen ships. They're gathering into some kind of formation." Harrison's eyes narrowed. He'd seen enough battles to know when an enemy was preparing something big. "All units, brace for impact, whatever they're planning." He never finished the sentence. The Zen ships began to pulse with an eerie light, their hulls resonating at frequencies that seemed to distort reality itself. This was their true power, the technology they'd hidden from humanity during their supposed peaceful exchange. But even as the Zen prepared to unleash their full might, Dr. Patel made another breakthrough. The genetic sequences they were so interested in weren't just anomalies. They were keys to unlocking human potential that even humanity hadn't fully understood. "We've been looking at this all wrong," she transmitted to Harrison. "They're not just afraid of our technology. They're afraid of what we might become." The Admiral smiled grimly. Throughout human history, fear of human potential had driven many to try to suppress it. None had succeeded. The Zen were about to learn why. As their enemies gathered their strength for what they thought would be a finishing blow, humanity prepared to reveal yet another surprise, one that would change the course of the war and reshape the galaxy itself. The price of trust had been high, but the cost of underestimating humanity would be even higher. The Zen's synchronized attack lit up Earth's sky like a second sun. Energy waves rippled through space-time, threatening to tear apart the fabric of reality itself. This was their ultimate weapon, the power they'd hidden from humanity during their false friendship. But they'd made one critical mistake. In Prometheus base, Dr. Maya Patel stood before a massive quantum computer, her eyes reflecting the streaming data. The Zen's attack had given her exactly what she needed: a clear view of their most advanced technology in action, and what she saw made her laugh. "They don't understand," she whispered, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "They're still thinking in linear terms." Admiral Harrison's voice crackled through the quantum comm. "Doctor, please tell me you have something. We're losing ships up here." "Better than something, Admiral. I know why they're so afraid of us." Maya's voice was steady, confident. "Their entire civilization is built on manipulating space-time in predictable ways. But human DNA, it does something they thought impossible. It adapts. It evolves. We don't just use reality. We change it." In orbit, the UES Prometheus shuddered under another assault. Captain Santos watched as 3 more ships in her fleet disappeared into the Zen's reality warping field. But she didn't order a retreat. She'd been waiting for this moment. "All ships," she commanded, "initiate Protocol Phoenix. Authorization Santos Omega 9. Throughout Earth's quantum fleet, hidden systems activated. The ships began to pulse with a strange organic energy, technology based on humanity's unique genetic potential. Dr. Patel's discovery hadn't just been theoretical, it had led to a whole new understanding of physics itself. The Zen's attack faltered as their sensors registered something impossible. The human ships weren't just resisting the reality warping field, they were adapting to it, learning from it, becoming stronger. In the Emergency Command Center, Admiral Harrison allowed himself a small smile. Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, hidden installations activated. Project Phoenix hadn't just been about building better ships or weapons. It had been about understanding humanity's true nature and unleashing it. The Zen watched in horror as their supposedly unstoppable attack was not only blocked but absorbed. Human ships began to move in ways that defied their understanding of physics, their hulls shifting and adapting like living things. "Impossible," the Zen commander transmitted across all frequencies. "Your species is too young, too primitive to possess such technology." "That's where you're wrong," Dr. Patel responded, her voice broadcast from Prometheus Base. "We didn't build this technology. We grew it. Evolution isn't just our past. It's our present, our future, our weapon." The battle shifted. Human ships, now powered by technology that merged quantum mechanics with biological adaptation, began to push back against the Zen fleet. Each attack the aliens launched was studied, understood, and countered within minutes. But the real surprise came from Earth itself. The neural inhibitors Dr. Patel had developed weren't just defensive tools. They were the first step in awakening humanity's latent potential. All across the planet, people began to experience strange sensations as their DNA responded to the quantum frequencies being broadcast by the Phoenix network. In New Delhi, a young girl found she could see the quantum patterns in the air. In Lagos, a physicist suddenly understood equations that had baffled him for years. In Seattle, a musician began to compose in 5 dimensions. The Zen had wanted to study human potential. Now they were witnessing it unleashed. "This is why you really came, isn't it?" Admiral Harrison transmitted to the Zen fleet. "You saw what we could become, and it terrified you. You thought if you studied us, controlled us, you could prevent this moment. But all you did was accelerate it." The Zen commander's response was desperate. "You don't understand what you're doing. There are forces in this galaxy, powers that must be kept in balance. Your species' evolution threatens everything." "No," Captain Santos replied from the Prometheus. "We understand perfectly. You're not the guardians of galactic peace you pretend to be. You're gatekeepers, trying to control which species are allowed to advance and how they're allowed to develop." Dr. Patel's voice joined the transmission. "But evolution doesn't work that way. It can't be controlled or contained. It adapts, it grows, it finds a way. That's what makes humanity different. We don't just accept reality. We challenge it, change it, improve it." The Zen fleet began to retreat, their carefully laid plans falling apart. But their withdrawal wasn't fast enough to prevent humanity from accessing their computer cores. As the alien ships fled, Earth's quantum systems downloaded terabytes of data, revealing the truth about the galaxy they lived in. The Zen weren't alone in their fear of human potential. They were part of a larger conspiracy, ancient species who had appointed themselves the guardians of galactic evolution. For millennia, they had manipulated younger races, ensuring none developed in ways they couldn't control. But humanity had slipped through their nets. Perhaps it was random chance, or perhaps it was destiny. But human DNA had developed along paths the ancient species had thought impossible. And now that humanity knew the truth, there would be no stopping them. In Prometheus Base, Dr. Patel reviewed the stolen data with growing excitement. "Admiral, Captain, you need to see this. There are other species out there, races the Zen and their allies have been suppressing. Some of them have potential similar to ours. Harrison's eyes gleamed. You mean potential allies? More than that, Maya replied. I think we just found out why the Zen were so desperate to stop us. We're not just a threat to their control, we're proof that their entire system is based on a lie. And once other species learned the truth, the implications were clear. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had stumbled upon a galactic conspiracy. And now they had a choice. They could retreat, protect Earth, and hope the ancient species left them alone, or they could do what humans had always done. Push forward, challenge the status quo, and fight for something bigger than themselves. In orbit, Captain Santos watched the last Zen ships disappear into hyperspace. Orders, Admiral. Harrison looked at the tactical display, now showing the locations of dozens of suppressed civilizations. Dr. Patel, how soon can you adapt Project Phoenix to help other species unlock their potential? Maya smiled. Already working on it, sir. The war wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. But humanity was no longer fighting just for Earth. They were fighting for every species that had been denied the right to evolve, to grow, to reach their full potential. The galaxy was about to learn why you should never try to cage something that was born to be free. The Krillian ambassador's tentacles rippled with barely contained excitement as she studied the data from Project Phoenix. Her crystalline eyes reflected the holographic display, showing the quantum biological interface that humanity had developed. All these cycles, she whispered, her translator struggling to convey the emotion in her voice. We thought we were broken. The Zen told us our inability to advance beyond certain technologies was natural, a limitation of our species. Dr. Maya Patel smiled warmly. They told us the same thing, but they lied to all of us. The meeting was taking place aboard the UES Prometheus, now stationed near the edge of what had once been forbidden Krillian space. Representatives from 7 different species had gathered, each sharing similar stories of Zen manipulation and suppression. Captain Santos watched from her command chair as the delegates shared their experiences. The Krillians with their quantum-sensitive biology, the Nexer with their unique temporal perception, the Vashani with their ability to manipulate gravitational fields. Each species had developed along paths the Zen had tried to suppress. The question, Admiral Harrison's hologram announced to the gathered delegates, is what we do about it. The Vashani elder, his silver skin shimmering with contained gravitational energies, stepped forward. We fight. The Zen and their allies have controlled this galaxy for too long. With humanity's help, we can finally break their grip. But the Nexer ambassador, her chronal field distorting the space around her, urged caution. The Zen are part of a larger alliance, the Eternal Consensus. They have technology we can barely comprehend, weapons that can erase entire star systems. That's true, Dr. Patel interjected, bringing up new holographic displays. But they have something else too. Fear. Fear of change, fear of evolution, fear of anything they can't control. And that fear has made them vulnerable. She gestured, and the display showed the quantum patterns they detected in Zen technology. Their advanced technology. It's stagnant. They haven't truly innovated in thousands of years. They've just been refining the same basic principles over and over. The implications weren't lost on anyone. The Eternal Consensus might have superior technology, but they'd forgotten how to adapt, how to evolve. They'd become so focused on controlling evolution that they'd stopped evolving themselves. Harrison's hologram nodded, which is why we're proposing Project Liberation. The display changed, showing a network of quantum relays extending throughout the galaxy. Dr. Patel explained, "We've found a way to broadcast the Phoenix Protocol across vast distances. With your help, we can create a network that will allow suppressed species to unlock their true potential." The room erupted in discussion. The idea was ambitious, perhaps even reckless. But after millennia of suppression, the gathered species were ready for reckless. One by one, they pledged their support. The Krillians offered their quantum-sensitive technology, the Nexer their temporal insights, the Vashani their gravitational manipulation. Each species brought unique perspectives and abilities that complemented humanity's innovations. But even as the alliance formed, the enemy was moving. The eternal consensus had not remained idle after the Zen's defeat. Their sensors had detected the gathering at the edge of Krillian space, and their response was swift and brutal. Reality itself seemed to tear open as the consensus fleet emerged from hyperspace. Their ships were unlike anything even the Zen had possessed. Vessels that existed partially outside normal spacetime, weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. Multiple contacts. Santos called out as the Prometheus's sensors went wild. They're surrounding the entire system. The voice that echoed through every ship and communication device was ancient, resonating with power accumulated over millions of years. Your rebellion ends here. The natural order must be preserved. But humanity and their new allies were ready. As the consensus ships opened fire, the Phoenix network activated. Every ship in the Alliance fleet began to pulse with quantum biological energy, their crews linking together in ways the consensus had never imagined possible. The Krillians channeled quantum forces through their natural abilities, creating shields that adapted to each attack. The Nexer used their temporal perception to predict enemy movements before they happened. The Vashani manipulated gravity itself, turning the consensus's own mass against them. And humanity did what it had always done best. It innovated, adapted, and evolved. Dr. Patel, working from her lab aboard the Prometheus, monitored the quantum networks as they grew and changed. The Phoenix Protocol isn't just letting us share technology, she reported excitedly. It's allowing our species to evolve together, learn from each other. We're becoming something new. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia to come. The consensus brought to bear weapons that could destroy stars, but for each attack, the Alliance adapted. Every defeat taught them something new. Every setback made them stronger. The Phoenix network grew stronger with each passing moment, linking not just ships and weapons, but minds and potential. The barriers between species began to blur as they shared not just technology, but perspectives, ideas, and dreams. This was what the consensus had feared most. Not just evolution, but cooperative evolution. Species working together, growing together, becoming more than the sum of their parts. As the battle reached its peak, Admiral Harrison's voice rang out across the Alliance fleet. For too long, they've tried to keep us divided, controlled, contained. They thought they could stop evolution itself. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, we show them that the future belongs to those who dare to change. The Alliance fleet moved as one, their ships glowing with combined power. The consensus's mighty weapons met shields that adapted faster than they could attack, faced enemies that could predict their every move, and encountered strategies they'd never imagined possible. Victory wasn't instant, and it wasn't easy, but with each passing moment, the Alliance grew stronger while the consensus remained static, unchanged, unable to adapt to the changing battlefield. The galaxy was changing. Evolution, so long suppressed, was finally breaking free. And at the heart of it all was humanity, not as conquerors or saviors, but as catalysts, helping every species find their own path to advancement. The age of the eternal consensus was ending. The age of liberation had begun. The eternal consensus had ruled the galaxy for millions of years. They had shaped civilizations, controlled evolution, and determined the course of countless species. Now they faced something they had never truly understood: change. The combined fleet of the Liberation Alliance hung in space before the consensus capital world, Eternia. The planet was a marvel of engineering, its surface covered in city-spanning computational arrays and reality-warping machinery. This was where it would end. They're broadcasting, Captain Santos announced from the Prometheus's bridge. All frequencies. The voice of the consensus eternal, The collective consciousness of the galaxy's oldest species filled every ship and communication device. You cannot comprehend what you risk. The galaxy exists in balance. Evolution must be controlled, guided, contained. What you attempt will bring chaos. Dr. Maya Patel, standing beside Admiral Harrison in the Prometheus's command center, stepped forward. Her voice was steady as she responded. No, what you call balance is stagnation. What you call guidance is suppression. What you call containment is imprisonment. The Phoenix network hummed with power, connecting every ship and crew member in the Alliance fleet. Through it, they could feel each other's determination, their shared desire for freedom, their combined potential. The Krillian ships pulsed with quantum energy, their crystalline hulls refracting reality itself. The Nexer vessels twisted through time, existing in multiple moments simultaneously. The Vashani craft bent gravity around them, creating corridors of warped spacetime. And humanity's ships, led by the Prometheus, adapted and evolved with every passing moment, their quantum biological technology growing more sophisticated with each breath. Harrison's voice carried across the network. You've had your time. You've had your chance to guide the galaxy. Now it's time for something new. The consensus response was devastating. Reality warping weapons fired from Eternia's surface, weapons designed to unmake matter itself, to rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. The kind of power that had kept them in control for millions of years. But the Alliance was ready. Through the Phoenix network, Dr. Patel channeled the combined knowledge and potential of every connected species. The Krillian's quantum sensitivity merged with Nexer temporal awareness and Vashani gravitational control, all filtered through humanity's unique ability to adapt and innovate. As the consensus weapons fired, something unprecedented happened. The Alliance fleet didn't just defend, they evolved. Ships morphed and changed, their very structure adapting to each attack. The Phoenix network grew stronger, more complex, more beautiful. Don't you see? Maya broadcast to Eternia. This is what you've been fighting against. Not chaos, but growth. Not disorder, but natural evolution. The very force that gave birth to you, that you've tried so hard to control. The battle that followed would reshape the galaxy forever. The consensus brought forth weapons that could destroy solar systems, but the Alliance evolved defenses that could protect worlds. They deployed reality warping technology, but the Alliance learned to surf the waves of altered spacetime. With each moment, each attack, each defense, the Phoenix network grew stronger. Species that had been separated by millions of years of controlled evolution began to understand each other, to learn from each other, to grow together. Captain Santos watched in awe as her ship's sensors registered changes happening at the quantum level. Dr. Patel, are you seeing this? The network. It's not just connecting us anymore. It's creating something new. Maya finished, her eyes wide with wonder. This is what they feared. Not just individual species evolving, but evolution itself evolving. Change becoming something more than they could predict or control. The consensus made its final stand above Eternia. They unleashed weapons that could tear apart the fabric of spacetime, deployed technology that could rewrite the laws of physics. But against the combined potential of freely evolving species, even their power had limits. The Phoenix network didn't just defeat their weapons. It understood them, adapted to them, and transformed them. What the consensus had built to destroy became tools for creation. As their defenses fell, as their weapons failed, as their carefully maintained order crumbled, the consensus eternal spoke one last time. What have you done? What have you unleashed? Admiral Harrison's response was simple. Freedom. The liberation of Eternia wasn't just a military victory. It was the beginning of a new age. The Phoenix network, now spanning the galaxy, became a tool for cooperation rather than control. Species that had been suppressed for millions of years began to explore their true potential. But humanity's role wasn't to rule or guide. Instead, they did what they had always done best. They innovated, adapted, and helped others do the same. The alliance became a community of equals, each species contributing their unique perspectives and abilities to a greater whole. Dr. Patel, standing in the rebuilt halls of Eternia months later, watched as representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss the future. The Phoenix network hummed around them, not controlling or containing, but connecting and enabling. "We did it," Captain Santos said, joining her. "We actually did it." Maya smiled, watching as a young Krillian scientist excitedly shared ideas with a Vashani elder and a human researcher. "No," she corrected, "we're just getting started." The age of the eternal consensus was over. The age of natural evolution, of cooperation, of unlimited potential had begun. And somewhere out there in the vast galaxy, new species were emerging, ready to join a community that would help them grow rather than control them. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not as conquerors or saviors, but as catalysts, helping to unlock the potential that existed in every species, every individual, every moment of change. The future was no longer eternal. It was infinite.